the Temple School of Business.
Futures first at Google now.
Columbia University.
Bain and Company.
Flying aeroplanes.
What are the exit opportunities in ZS like? Which is exactly what I'm going to answer today. The sequel to यार placement हो जाए ना तो life set है is यार job switch हो जाए और hike मिल जाए तो life set है. Exit opportunities post any job work in three broad buckets. Higher education, which is usually a foreign MBA or an MS or an Indian MBA, a lateral switch to a similar field, or a total 180. In my video so far, I've only talked to you myself, which as much as I like, I felt would not be enough for this video. So today you'll be hearing not just from me, but also from multiple ex-ZSers, their perspective on what they're doing right now, their time at ZS, and how their experience helped them wherever they are in life right now. If you're new here, I'm Adil Verma. I worked at ZS Associates for 3 years post my engineering before I left the firm to be a creator full-time. If you haven't subscribed yet, you're really missing out. I create video essays on behind the scenes of ZS, consulting, and stories that make you go, I didn't know that. For this video, since I myself only have experience to comment on one of those parts, I felt it was necessary to rope in my colleagues and friends to give you additional perspective on what the exit opportunities in ZS looks like. The most common path post leaving ZS is higher education, either a foreign MS or an Indian MBA. It's the fastest way of climbing the corporate ladder and naturally the most preferred. Many ZSers choose to go abroad for their MS or MBA, as has been the trend for Indians in the past few years. Being part of ZS plays an important role while doing either programs abroad, as said Rishabh, a senior and MBA sophomore at the Carnegie Mellon Tepper School of Business.
I am a rising second year student at the Temple School of Business. So I'm doing my master's in business administration. Yeah, so I joined as a decision analytics associate, got promoted to associate consultant in 2 years, and then did 2 years as an associate consultant, and was at the point where I either got promoted to consultant or I left to do an MBA. For me personally, the MBA was on my radar for a long time. Felt like 4 years was the right amount of experience for me to leave to do an MBA, so that I chose to go there.
How much would you say where you are right now? Would you or would you not attribute to ZS?
It's not been only ZS, right? It's been all my experiences straight from college in Manipal for 4 years, a short internship in Samsung, and then 4 years at ZS. All of these experience built up to where I am today. So it's not only ZS, but ZS is an integral part of that. And I learned a lot of things about working in corporate environments at ZS. Working, managing teams, leading teams, managing stakeholders, communication, things like that, which are valuable attributes you would keep with yourself no matter where you go in life, right? No matter what field you pursue.
The idea that being at ZS, especially if this was a job you got out of campus, is crucial to build certain business skills required in consulting was even echoed by my close friend Mridul, who post ZS joined Bain and Company and now is doing his MS in Canada.
So I am Mridul Gupta and I joined ZS starting 2019, directly after college. I was an off-campus hire, worked there for 1.5 years as an associate, but yeah, it was a 1.5 year stint.
What did you do after ZS? I think you had quite interesting journey.
Yeah. Immediately after ZS, I started working with a firm called Topper. So I worked with them for around 5 months as a business analyst. After that, I got an opportunity to join Bain and Company at Gurgaon office and there I worked for another 11 months or so. Currently I'm pursuing my master's. I'm here at University of Calgary.
I think in a very short span of time, you were able to do a lot of different things within ZS, after ZS. What do you feel was the impact of working in ZS to whatever that you did afterwards? Topper, Bain.
It has a bad reputation for work life, but then the contrary part, they give you loads of work, so you have to do loads of work. So you do a lot of things, and then you learn a lot of things. Right. During that 1.5 year, the learning that I've got is massive. It's huge. And that learning helps you transition and do your work so easily and flawlessly at the other firms.
And the same sentiment was also echoed by my senior from college, Rahul, who went on to join Bank of America after doing his master's from Columbia University.
Because the stuff that you do, the work that you do there, I think that kind of contributes to making you and shaping you as a professional. Because for most of us out there, that's our first professional job, full-time. So what you learn there kind of carries over to what you do after that. be it your master's, MBA, another job, so on and so on and so on. Hello, so I am Rahul Vemuru and I worked at ZS for about a year before I left for my master's. And I went to Columbia University and did my master's in facility management. For those that might be confused with the name, it's related to something called ESG, climate change, and so on. And following that, I currently work at Bank of America. So I think it's really important that you pick up good skills in your first job. It doesn't even have to be technical skills. It can be as simple as writing an email, like an end of the day email, speaking to someone who's senior to you. Or...
Post-graduation is about half of the most common exit opportunities at the firm, and the other half are usually lateral shifts to other companies. Being a consulting company, a large number of ZSers shift to either the Big Four or a prominent consulting company like a McKinsey, BCG, or even Bain. Another interesting thing a colleague of mine who wanted to stay anonymous for this interview stated about going from ZS to McKinsey was the idea that work at ZS is so intense that often anything afterwards seems like a walk in the park. What takes me 4 hours to do often takes my colleagues upwards of 12, while struggling quite a bit to do so. Yes, ZS has a pretty bad work-life balance, but it's that pressure that really sets you apart wherever else you go in life. And I totally agree with my colleague here. Even for myself as a creator, juggling multiple YouTube accounts, my podcast, client work, content consulting, it all can be quite challenging. But often it doesn't feel like so. Mainly because my time at ZS was so much more intense that now I'm much better at handling pressure without constantly complaining or feeling stressed.
So this is one thing that someone who was at McKinsey told me. Like हम जितना काम करते हैं ना ZS में, इधर आके ऐसा लगता है कि मैं 2-3 घंटे में जो कर लेता हूँ, लोगों को 10-12 घंटे लगते हैं, वो भी मतलब तड़प के करते हैं. So of course that's not like it's not saying that everyone in McKinsey is like that. But yeah. Did you also feel?
Yes, that is definitely true. To some extent, yes. It's like at least 50% faster. We cannot afford mistakes. We have to be really fast and we have to meet like very, very, very strict timelines at ZS. And in consulting firms, you get more room for timelines. You get more flexibility in doing your stuff. After ZS, you feel like ZS mein bahut kar liya. You're more eased out.
We've seen rock bottom. Now everything else is better from here.
Yes.
People also shift laterally for brand name, like Josh, who shifted from ZS to Google to get the coveted Googler tag.
Finally made the decision that, okay, for now, getting a brand like Google on your resume would be a good option. I'm Josh and I work as a cloud data engineer at Google now.
So what has been the impact of those 3 years in your journey after you've left ZS?
Amazing, to be honest, because the amount of things, as I said, you learn is just too much. Yes, I would definitely say so. In fact, the reason that I got so many interviews was because I was a part of ZS. That's what I think. I would never know if that's the case, but that's what I assume. Yeah, after 3 years now, I kind of felt that after a couple of years, the learning wasn't that great, but still the brand name remains there.
Interestingly, Josh also mentioned that learning at ZS was worth often leaving job offers that he was getting early on in his career for almost 2x the salary.
And even when I was working here, I had like another opportunity. At that time also, I connected with one of the mentors. He told me that, out of these opportunities, I would prefer still ZS because learning you would get is amazing.
And this is something you'll hear a lot. The idea that learning early on in your career far outweighs the momentary benefits of a higher salary. And there is no better place to learn than ZS.
Right. During that 1.5 year, the learning that I've got is massive. It's huge. And that learning helps you transition and do your work so easily and flawlessly at the other firms. You learn a lot of technologies, a lot of things that are like widely in demand in the industry. Here, if you'll ask me, especially in my master's as well, the tools and technologies that I worked in ZS had a good hands-on there. I'm doing them here again. I get a good head start for my own journey here.
Just in the 3 years that I was in the firm, I got to work on machine learning, Tableau, Python, SQL, market research, advanced analytics, Excel, and even R. There's an insane level of learning for such a short amount of time.
Usually in my resume, there are so many technologies listed on that, people don't really believe that, oh, how can you work on these many technologies in 2 and 3 years? But when they start asking you questions, they are really impressed, and that's when they realize that we have not just listed them for the sake of making our resume look impressive, but we have that knowledge. So that obviously comes with CS.
Now, apart from shifting jobs and higher education, there are a handful of people, including myself, that took a drastic turn in their life trajectory, choosing to do something that had little or no relation to what we did in college or at our time at ZS. I talked to my friend Kartikeya for this.
I'm Kartikeya Gupta and I work at Futures First as a market analyst. I joined as an associate in ZS, and when I left, I was an associate consultant. Basically, ZS was the only consulting company that came to our college, and I'm a chemical engineer. I didn't want to get into like typical chemical engineering job. When ZS came to our college, I have to go there, and finally I made it. So I was pretty happy. But some years down the line, I realized that I was not able to see that visible impact or that tangible impact in terms of society or in terms of myself. So I've been trading on a personal level for the past 4 to 5 years. So I was looking for companies that professionally trade and can help me learn how to trade professionally.
Now, I surely echo a lot of Kartikeya's thoughts. The biggest drawback of being part of a multinational consulting company serving Fortune 500 clients is that you rarely get to see the physical impact of your work on the clients or society at large. Working on, say, a cancer drug or asthma medication, you'll rarely see how lives of patients are changed by the slide deck that you created having lost weeks of sleep over, or how much money the company was able to save by your genius marketing hack. It's this lack of visibility that really bothers people like Kartikeya and I. And another crucial reason that led me to leave the firm was passion, or a lack of.
You should do two things. Either you should be associated with something that creates a greater impact in terms of society, or do something for yourself you're passionate about.
I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. That was also what led my senior from Pune, Saptarishi, to leave the firm to do something I felt was way cooler and also his childhood dream.
My name is Saptarishi Bhoyan. I joined ZS in January of 2018. I joined as intern, and then 3 years on I left ZS, and now I am flying aeroplanes. I am training to be a pilot because basically I wanted to follow my passion. So I left ZS and I started training to be a pilot. I think the most important thing that I learned at ZS was that you need to keep yourself updated. In ZS, the environment is so competitive and it's so demanding that you have to learn every day. You have to learn something new. This is something that I picked up in ZS. I don't think I would have been able to do that if I were anywhere else. That also brings out some of the negatives that I wanted to mention about ZS. The biggest negative part of ZS is that you do not basically have a work-life balance. I think it's basically something to do with the consulting industry. You don't get time for yourself. Because of that, I realized how unhappy and how unsatisfied I was. And that again drove me to do something I wanted.
So we've heard it all. Exiting ZS for exposure, brand name, learning, larger purpose, and even satisfaction. The truth is, exit opportunities in any company are not dictated by the company, but by you as an individual. I would argue that exit opportunities at any company similar to ZS would be identical, be it a Mu Sigma, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, or the math company. As cliched as it may sound, exit opportunities should quite honestly not even be on the list of things you look for while joining a new job. It's what you're really looking for from your career that would decide what your exit from ZS or any other company would really look like. In conclusion, when it comes to exit opportunities, there really is no such thing as a bad exit. It already depends on your life goals and skills. Having ZS brand name surely goes a long way to give you credibility, but it's unlikely that you'll get opportunities solely based on that. So hopefully that gave you a better idea about exit opportunities at the firm, where all you could go post leaving the firm, and most importantly, if that question should even be on your mind while joining the firm. If you like this video, do consider subscribing to my channel. Information and profile links to each person would be found in the description. And as always, Gyaan Batao, Gyaan Padhao. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.